All right, I got cut off, so starting a part 2. Sorry about that. I never know how this Facebook stuff's going to work on when it's cutting me off and when it's not. Oh my God, 38 people want to join gossip right now? Mm. 7 people back. Hello, Patty. Glad you found me again. As I scan through all these new people, 38 people wanting to join right now. Yay, Christy. So, yeah, so I guess we pick up where we left off over there, that the court has denied the testing, the stay for the testing. Oh, hold on now, because now the clerk just sent me that. A copy of that order is attached. Don't pay another copy fee for this yet. I want to discuss the situation with the clerk when she returns on Wednesday first, because I had paid $25 when it was only $4. All right. Ready? We're going to read this. And then I'll send it to Patty or something, so maybe they can get it posted for you. And it says, it's Judge Flowers. You are hereby notified that the court has entered the following order. Stephen Avery appeals from the circuit court's denial of his blah, blah, blah motions. Avery, by counsel, moves the court to stay this appeal and remand to the circuit court so that he may seek further post-conviction testing of evidence pursuant to Wisconsin statute, blah, blah. The state objects on the grounds that a request for further scientific testing would constitute a new proceeding, and such a proceeding is not necessary to decide whether the circuit court erroneously denied Avery's blah, blah motions. The scope of this appeal is limited to a review of the circuit court's orders denying Avery's Wisconsin blah, blah motions. We conclude that further scientific testing of evidence is not necessary to decide this appeal. Good cause to remand has not been shown. Upon the foregoing reasons, it is ordered that the motion to stay this appeal and remand to the circuit court is denied. It is further ordered that the appellant's brief shall be filed on or before February 1. So that's the date. I don't know how to, maybe I can do this with my iPad. Sorry, somebody needs to teach me technical stuff. So, Patty, I don't know if you're on here right now. I'm going to try and send this to Patty so Patty can get it posted for y'all. So, February 1, on or before February 1 is what it says Kathleen has to file now. So that's a lot longer than the 3 days. All right, let me scroll through. Welcome back. So, all right, no other questions there. So, wow, this changes from when we started talking about that this was just the state and don't care, we're waiting on court ruling. Well, but here's the court ruling. So the court says no also. So it is further ordered that the appellant's brief shall be filed on or before February 1, 2019. So we go back to waiting for that. So nothing to get all up in arms about. Again, you know, you every roadblock they can throw at Stephen, they're going to throw at Stephen. So, Kathleen will approve. Okay, your dates are upside down. I thought it was January too. Yeah, it cut me off. So, yeah, we'll get the clerk's office sent me the court's denial, and I've sent that to Patty for Patty to get posted since I'm not capable. And now we have a date of February 1. Let me scroll. Sorry, I'm scrolling. We've got so many people who wanted to join, and I do my best, and I know the moderators do their best here too to try and stop people who are just going to come to cause trouble in here. But there's only so much you can do, you know, with people having fake things or whatever. But that's where I'll say to you guys again, if you see somebody posting something, tag me or the other moderators or Stephen Avery Project so we can find it and deal with it. I'll go into pending posts. And there's that. Okay, so approve those. Okay, now I'll go back to what you guys are saying. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Mike, yeah, I was reading about Wisconsin and the video went down there onto us. Yeah, Heidi, this is still, it's still Judge Flowers, so still lower court. So, and this is just our stupid system of everything takes so long. And it's funny that they're, you know, denying it due to don't want to take too long, want to streamline it. But it's like, shouldn't the objective of the court be to get to the truth? So why wouldn't you want to test these bones with new technology? Why stop it or make it harder unless you've got something to hide? Deborah says, February, perhaps they can get the testing done and get it included in the filing. Nothing prevents her from litigating the testing issues in the meantime. Right, but she doesn't have access to the bones. So how, Deborah, how does she get those bones if the Hallback family buried them? Jules, I'm having a cocktail. Yeah. Teresa says, does the state say no because of the cost? No, the state, well, I guess inevitably it's about money. But once Stephen and Brendan are proven innocent, it's going to cost a whole lot of money. Jennifer says, so can they just deny all appeals and that will be it? This worries me. They have far too much corruption to hide. Well, Kathleen's just going to keep uncovering more and more. Remember, she has said since Making a Murderer 2 came out, more people have come forward to her that we don't know what she even has. So, you know, and that's not, you know, this rapid DNA ID testing that she was referring to. So she's got many aces up her sleeve. It's just when we get to see it. Yes, Shondell, the court denied it. Alex says, I wonder how Stephen and Brendan can handle this shit. I mean, we feel angry and frustrated, but we are free. How must they feel? I would feel like killing myself. I wouldn't be able to handle this injustice. Well, Alex, that's Stephen, when I used to talk to him, he always remains so positive. And he's, you know, just, well, if it takes a little longer to, you know, prove I'm innocent, that, you know, he just took it all in stride. I don't get it. You know, that man has literally been robbed of a lifetime. and honestly, I've been sitting here through the holidays at my house, and I've been in, depressed and miserable about my life. And then I'll go, wow, I am a whiny little baby, because for example, and those of you who don't like hearing about the Kaluzinski case, maybe you want to go do something else right now. So I'm sitting here wallowing in my own misery of how bad my life is. And then Paul Kaluzinski calls me trying not to cry, because all he is thinking about his daughter Melissa in prison for the holiday, and he can't be with her. And then I'm sitting here all wallowing in my life. My son is having a great life. He's not in prison. I saw him, a couple times in the last week. Went out with him and his girlfriend. My son's not in prison for something he didn't do. So then I just feel horrible, so, oh my God, if I was Stephen, I would hate the world. I would hate everybody. I don't know how to say your name. Talaya? I'm scared that they might just manipulate the system again and nothing would work. That is a possibility, because our system sucks. But Kathleen will keep fighting and fighting. And it's easy for me to say that, oh, at least she'll prove he's innocent. So yeah, oh, yay, you're innocent, but you're still in prison because our system sucks and can't get you out. Horrible. Jules, especially because they are so hell-bent on the defense producing new evidence on appeal. Right. And Julie says, hiding in plain sight. What a disgrace. Liberty says they are trying to strong-arm KZ into dropping the appeal to pursue this issue. Heidi says, once Schimmel is gone, I pray things get better. Heidi, so the Attorney General that's replacing him, do you know anything about them to let us know if it's good or bad? I've never looked into that. Shondell, the judge sided with the state already? Yes. Caroline, if the Halbach family insisted, would the court have to grant their wish? I don't know. Well, since the bones aren't in evidence like they're supposed to be, nothing prevents. Well, no, if they're buried, you can't just go dig up, even if it's your own family member, right? You've got to go through some process. Yeah, I don't know how that works. Deborah says, and they will drag their heels in giving her the okay for testing, no doubt. There is no reason that they shouldn't immediately give her the okay to test the others she has requested that were not given to the family. But the state has to admit to her that those are not available and that they screwed up. Bingo. Jewel says, I'm sure you all will talk again. You seem like a great friend and supporter, Jax. Well, thank you, Jules. I believe in Stephen's innocence, but I don't believe a lot in his family have his best interests at heart or in mind. Lynn says KZ has to know the Halbachs have the bones. Right. Heidi says KZ has got more up her sleeve than any of us will ever know. Oh, exactly. Caroline says poor Stephen is institutionalized. Yeah. And so is Brendan. Both of them have really never lived a life of freedom as an adult. Stephen went in at 22, right? And then was only out for 2 years before back in. So they've never really been able to be free adults, either one of them. Horrible. Carolina says, so this new filing February 1st is going to be a move forward to a higher court by Kathleen? I don't know. I don't know what this is that I just got. I don't know exactly what her filing is. Let me, what does it say? I'm pulling up the case history right now. Oh, and it now says pending CA, anticipated due date 2/1/2019, and then the activity is brief and appendix. Is that appendix? APPX. Is that appendix on here? Okay. Of appellants. So that's already been updated on here. So, and that is here. Let me see if I can get this posted in here. Remember, I don't know if this is going to work. I just copied and pasted. Natasha's been working late all day. The first, we got report that the state asked the court to deny the stay for testing, and now the court has agreed with the state. And so now we wait until oh, okay, there it is. February 1st. We have until February 1st for Kathleen's next filing. Brianna says, how are Stephen's parents doing? From what I saw from pictures, they seem to be doing all right with the bunch of stuff they got from fans for the holiday. Heidi says, I really feel the higher courts will do the right thing. Knock on wood. Heather says, what have I missed? KZ motion was declined? Yes. Jules, to exhume a grave is a huge process. The state will have to consent, like the staircase. He's guilty in the staircase. Fight me. Danielle, on confession tapes, a man in North Carolina served 16 years for a murder arson he didn't commit. It took 3 years for them to file a one-sentence statement to release him. Oh my God. Liberty says the Hallbacks could petition for forensic testing, but it does have to be approved by a judge as well. Thank you, Liberty. Heidi says, I really don't know much about him. I voted for him to get rid of Schimmel. I can try and look into him, but Walker has made Schimmel a judge. Yeah, I saw that. Jules says, I feel like Brendan would have a career working with and helping animals. He has the best heart. Well, back when I used to talk to Brendan, the job that he wants is he wants to be a video game tester. Now that was 3 years ago, so it could have changed by now. But he really wanted to play video games for a job. And he does, yeah, and he does love animals. I asked him about that once, with the family being, his mom being the big hunter and stuff. And no, that's not for Brendan at all. Lisa says, if some of our theories are right and those bones are not Teresa's, can you imagine the panic this must have caused? Oh yeah. If those are not animal bones and not Teresa's bones, holy snikes. Tara says, exactly, Jax. His family is benefiting from them being in jail. Yeah. Kimberly says, waiting on edge of my seat like everyone else. Well, now you have till February 1. Deborah says, oh, KZ knows, but the state has to formally admit it to her that they are not there for testing and that they breached the court order requiring them to keep it. Oh, what a web we weave. Liberty says, the February 1st is the new deadline for the brief we were expecting on December 20th. Correct. Mike says, someone get her on the phone. We need answers, KZ. Thank you, Lisa. Approximate, not appendix. Brief and okay. Natasha, are you fucking kidding me? How is this even happening? Because this is the Stephen Avery case. Deborah says, we wait until we find out if KZ goes and files or voluntarily retracts the appeal to go after the testing. Okay, thank you, Deborah. Bridget says, my husband and I were at the Avery salvage yard the beginning of December, and Stephen's brother Chuck told us that according to Kathleen, Stephen would be free by the end of February. Well, honestly, Bridget, Chuck don't know shit. And Kathleen doesn't tell the family anything like that. So that's just Chuck giving a supporter false hope, hoping for more dollars in his pocket. So that was just Chuck speaking out of his ass. Joyce, I wonder if she files on February 1, if she can still get those bones checked. I don't know how all this works. I'm just chomping to get that done. Yeah, I know. Heidi, corruption is all over. Mamie says, so Wisconsin's still stuck with Schimmel. Just for a couple more days. A week. Alex says, Schimmel, AK mold, is hard to get rid of. Mike says, this is true. KZ also said if he was found innocent, it could take years to get him out, or it could take an hour. Right. Bad with numbers, but didn't she say it typically takes how many years? 18 years to free somebody? It's horrible. Oh, I hate to think about that. Jules, I would never fight you. Plus, I can't fight. Julie, when I'm faced with serious confrontation, my stomach gases build and I fight back with gas. True story. Heather says, why wouldn't the state want to put an end to this once and for all? Because I might have said it in part 1 of today before I got cut off, because everything's this, I said I compared it to Jenga, and you pull one piece out and, it starts to weaken, and, so the more things that get pulled out of that, then it's going to fall apart. So, and you have to think about that. If you're able to prove that corruption happened in Stephen's case, it now opens the floodgates to every other case that any of the people that were involved in the corruption worked on. So everybody else in prison can now go, hey, look what they did to this guy. Maybe they did it to me. So it's a big old mess. Deborah says, we need a KZ tweet fest so she can tell us what she plans to do. Yeah, I love when she does the Q&As too. Natasha says, forget getting KZ on the phone. Get her on Facebook Live so we can break the internet. Oh my God, can you imagine that? Susan says, so what's the status of her getting the bones? It's been denied at this point. Bridget says, oh my gosh, I'm shocked. We also spent $45 on a hat and t-shirt because we were told the proceeds were going to Stephen and Brendan. No, not a penny of the money from buying the hat and shirt goes to Stephen or Brendan. It goes in Chuck and Earl's pockets. They don't give anything to Stephen or Brendan. Rebecca says, what's the next step now, Jax? We're going to wait for Kathleen's filing on February 1st. It was Judge Flowers, Priya. Oh, and I see Heidi answered that. Priya says, the lady who looks like Miss Piggy with dark brown hair. I don't recall what she looks like. And Kat says, thank you for letting me join your group. Well, thank you for joining us. And now I'm down to the bottom of everybody's. Nope, now Julie. We have Sweaty Sweat, Planty Andy, Moldy Schimmel, Mike Greasyback, and now we have Judge Suckowitch. Well, there's also Ligert for Wiegert, right? What else is there? There's been so many nicknames made for all these people. Scrolling through more people who want to join. And Fact Bender for Fassbender, right? Fact Bender and Liegert. What else is there? Yeah, I know, Mimi. It gets really dark here. And it's only 5:06 p.m. Oh, there's Christy with Fact Bender. Yep. Yes, bones were denied. What is Lank? Ooh, have we ever had a nickname for Lank? Yes, it's Natasha, the same woman judge, Flowers. Cheryl asking, how did I miss that? Because it just literally happened in the last half hour. So while we've been live, we started getting the notifications that it had been, the court denied it. Daughter, wife, Kratz. The missing link. There you go. Jewel says, can I call Link penis face? Oh, we're so childish. So speaking of childish, let me go into this. That's been a little bit of an issue on MAM Gossip today. So people had asked me to make an MAM Gossip shirt. So we just made a shirt and posted it. I don't care if anybody buys the shirt. I was asked to make a shirt, so that's what we did. And I want the proceeds from that shirt to go to the Kalyazinski family. And I'm getting pushback from people that they can't believe I wouldn't give the money to the Hallback family, to the Avery family. I will never give another penny to the Avery family. Point blank. End of story. There's too much shadiness going on that all that family seems to care about is ripping off their fans. It's Stephen and Brendan who are in prison. If you all are so concerned about Stephen and Brendan, why are you giving the money to the family who have multiple homes and toys? They're not poor. They're not broke. Stephen and Brendan are the ones sitting in prison who, when they're bragging about all the gifts they have from people, Stephen is asking people for socks and underwear. Yet the family's not putting any money on his books. So Stephen and Brendan are the ones in prison. Y'all keep forgetting that. There's too many people who watch Making a Murderer and they think of it as a TV show. And I know that's what guilters use all the time, that people are swayed by a TV show. You're not really thinking of these people as what they really are. So you see them on that and it's like, oh, your heart melts for Alan and Dolores. And I'm not saying anything negative about Alan and Dolores here at all. But they don't need your money. They're fine. Ellen and Dolores do not own the salvage yard. They've already given that to their sons. There's no mortgage. They're all fine. Why should the family get to benefit because Stephen's in prison? Why do they get to profit off of that? How many other people go to prison and their family gets money and gifts for it? But then when I want to give money to another family who has somebody in prison for something that they didn't do, then I'm being ripped for it. How dare I want to help the Kalyazinski family, who are poor, who have had a car repossessed. Paul lost his business. Their house they've had to struggle to keep their home. They've tried to take it on multiple occasions from them. Paul cannot work due to his medical issues. They're not going to Red Lobster. They're not asking for new carpeting. They're asking for money so they can drive the 2.5 hours to go see their daughter. And then the 2.5 hours back. And they visit with Melissa for 2 hours. And then you're putting the money on her books. You should watch Paul, because I go with them when they go, or have gone with them, to visit Melissa, and how excited he is and keeps buying all this food for Melissa. You know, he hardly gets any visit with her because because the inmate can't go to the vending machines. And so Paul is constantly going to the vending machines to go buy Melissa this or that, because that's all he can do for his daughter, is buy her that food when they're there for that 2 hours. And so he keeps trying to feed her. And then Melissa's like, Dad, I can't eat all this. And he just keeps buying it, you know, and then she ends up donating it to another inmate's table at the end, because she can't eat all the food, you know. But that's what he's asking for money for. He's asking for money so they can go on Melissa's books, because do you know, when you're a woman in prison, they're only going to give you maxi pads when you have your period. And it's a gross, yucky kind that no woman wants to use those. So if she wants tampons or a brand that's not going to leak and be disgusting, she has to pay for that out of her commissary account. And Paul gets all embarrassed and red-faced when he has to think about Melissa having a period and having those needs. But he wants to make sure that she can have tampons if she wants freaking tampons. So, again, not asking for a recliner. Actually, Paul did ask me for her recliner, now that I think about it, at one point, like a year ago, because Cheryl was hurt. And they have one recliner, and he sits in a recliner. And so I had a recliner here at my house that I didn't use, and I gave him the recliner. So, but he asked for it for medical reasons. And no supporter paid for it. It was literally a chair that I wanted to throw out. And so I gave it to him instead. So an MAM gossip shirt doesn't mean money has to go in the Avery family's pocket. Are you insane? Go to Carla's groups and go throw your money at her. That's not happening here. The Kaluzinski family is a worthy, deserving family. And if I want to make shirts and give the money from them to the Kaluzinski family, none of y'all have a thing to say about it. You don't get a vote. Buy a shirt or don't. I don't care if you do. Why doesn't it say Melissa? Because Paul has shirts that say Melissa on them, that we have sold several times now. So I wasn't making a Melissa shirt. I was asked because members of MAM Gossip talked about wanting an MAM Gossip shirt. So that's what we put out there. And I decided that the proceeds would go to Melissa. That's simple. So I get tired of, I'm constantly attacked. And I'm used to it, whatever. But Jesus Christ, I'm attacked because I'm going to give money to a family whose child is in prison for a murder she didn't commit. And you're going to bitch because I'm not giving it to the Avery family, who just got a ton of shit. Right? And a lot of you here are new. You haven't been here since Making a Murderer first premiered. So you don't know about the very first GoFundMe or the fundraiser that started for that family, where there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that are missing. Lots of money missing. Lots. I know, I've talked to the lawyers about it.